Boris Johnson went to a war zone while Keir Starmer struggles to define what a woman is. I'm not sure he actually knows what a man is either. Boris showed true leadership, courage and nous on the international stage by going on a walk around with Zelensky in Kiev. He pledged a further £100 million worth of UK military assistance, vows to send Ukraine 120 armoured vehicles and new anti-ship missile systems. On top of that, Johnson also confirmed further economic support, guaranteeing an additional £385 million in World Bank lending to Ukraine, taking the total UK loan guarantees to £770 million. That's proper action. There have been some absolutely terrible takes on this. They're the usual media types. Oh, it's just a PR stunt. Well, yes, it is a bit of a PR stunt, both at home and abroad. It's a PR stunt for us and Ukraine, but one with real purpose, to bolster Ukrainian spirits, bolster Ukrainian defences and bolster Britain's standing on the world stage. So it's a good thing. What Boris Johnson's trip to Ukraine has highlighted even further is just how many people hate Britain. It doesn't matter what we do or what our leaders do, they just hate Britain. Zelensky issues a quote that didn't even mention Boris, OK? He said, the other democratic countries of the West should follow the example of the United Kingdom. Cue mass Remainer hysteria. One person on Twitter said, I believe we can show this now, he praises every country and leader who helps him, but of course Britain needs to make this even into a competition. You guys are obsessed with world-leading, world-beating, best in the world, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It's more like wah, 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 isn't it, from the pro-Remain brigade? I wonder what her Twitter bio looks like. Should we take a look? Let's have a look at it. Yeah, there we go, I think. OK. EU citizens stranded on a tiny rock. Classic. You couldn't make it up, could you? Well, you're not stranded, love. I mean, people manage to leave the country every single day, don't they? And then, of course, there's this hot take. Check this one out. So, Zelensky doesn't really like Johnson much, but he's smart enough to flatter him in order to keep the military hardware flowing into Ukraine. Well, that tweet came from a man called Pete Josephs, whose Twitter bio I believe we can see now. There we are. Retired computer programmer, proudly woke, love the EU. I mean, you just couldn't make it up. Gosh, it's incredible, isn't it, that a retired computer engineer would have a direct line to the president of the Ukraine. You know, forget the political correspondence. Pete, the laptop fixer's got the inside scoop. We can all go home. But how has their beloved EU behaved during this crisis? Pretty ineffectively. Their approach has focused strongly on financial sanctions and the humanitarian crisis. They set up an investigation team to look into war crimes. OK, fine, but nothing really to actually prevent those war crimes taking place or stop the humanitarian crisis, is there? And in reality, it's their political idiocy, actually, that's indirectly caused this crisis. Some of their member states, Germany's reliance on Russian gas, for example, they sent 5,000 helmets to Ukraine. That's big of them. My point here is that it was left up to the EU, right? Ukraine would just fall to Russia, and then Brussels would attempt to help those fleeing that war. What the UK is actually doing, and what Boris is doing, is actively trying to prevent Ukraine falling to Russia, actively trying to mitigate as much of that humanitarian crisis as possible, actively trying to prevent those war crimes. And there's a big difference there. I've been very critical of Boris at times. I don't think he's necessarily been the best leader or the best one that we could have hoped for, but the sight of him being called over by a Ukrainian man in the street who thanked him for his response made me feel proud to be British. And it's upsetting that so many people seem to devote their time to finding ways just to feel ashamed. I actually feel very sorry for them.